Today's lesson is asking for help. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
Hello, I'm Kiki.
And today we are in an office setting, and we've got three people involved with today's conversations. We've got Dave talking to Liam, and then Liam later makes a call to Tina and asks her for some help with something. And indeed, if you're working in an office setting, sometimes you do need help with your work. Maybe somebody else can give you some advice or give you some assistance with what you're doing, and that's what we're doing in today's lesson. Again, we've got Dave in our first conversation. He just started his job, and he stops by Liam's desk to ask for some suggestions. So in conversation 1, Dave is asking for advice from Liam. Let's listen.
Asking for help.
1. Asking for advice. Dave just started at his job, so he stops by Liam's desk to ask for some suggestions.
Hey, Liam. Tomorrow is my first time visiting a client. So I was wondering if you could give me some tips? Sure. First off, do your homework. Research the company, recent news about it, and relevant industry trends. That'll show that you're invested. Got it. And during the meeting? Be a good listener. Make sure you understand their needs and challenges before pitching any ideas. That makes sense. Are there any pitfalls to avoid? Well, just off the top of my head, I'd say the most important thing is to stay honest about what we can deliver. Don't make any promises you can't keep. Understood. Thanks for the advice. No problem. Good luck with the meeting.
大家好，第一部分首先来看形容词 relevant， 它的意思是有关联的、相关的或是有意义的。例如 Unfortunately, your skills are not relevant to our company's needs. 很遗憾，你所具备的技能和我们公司的需求并不相关。或者 Though the movie was released 30 years ago, it is still relevant today. 虽然这部电影是30年前发行的，但今日它仍是别具意义的。接下来是 invest 这个动词。它的意思是投入时间或是精力，也可以是投资。在课文中为过去分词做形容词用，表示投入的。我们可以说 The composer is very invested in his works and has created lots of masterpieces and won many awards. 该作曲家对自己的作品投入很多心力，因此创作了不少杰作，并获得了许多奖项。或者是 Ben invests his money in stocks. Ben 用他的钱投资股票。另外，在这个字的字尾加入 ment， 则会变成名词 investment， 同样有投资的意思。例如 Diane lost a lot of money through a series of bad investments. Diane 因为一连串的错误投资而损失很多钱。又或者说 Jack always looks for good investment opportunities when he has some money to spare. Jack 手边有点钱可用的时候，总是会寻找投资的好机会。再来要介绍的是 pitfall。这个名词有陷阱、圈套或是隐患的意思。我们可以说 People should be careful while finding a job, especially easy and well-paid ones which might be full of pitfalls. 人们在找工作时应该小心谨慎，尤其是那些轻松高薪的工作，可能处处都是陷阱。又或者说 When you go out, make sure the stove is turned off just in case there is a potential pitfall that could cause danger. 当你外出时，要确保屋内炉火已关闭，以防出现潜在的危险。
Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss conversation 1. We are asking for advice. Advice is information that you have or somebody has that another person does not have, and they have experience with this thing, so you ask that person for advice. For example, maybe you're planning to study overseas, but you've never applied to universities in, say, the US or England or Canada or whatever, but you know your friend Roger has, so you call Roger up on the phone. Hey, Roger, can you give me some advice? I don't know how to apply for universities overseas. Can you tell me what to do?
Right. And I think it's really important to know that it's never wrong to ask someone for help or advice, because I know sometimes people, they can feel a bit shy or embarrassed because they feel like they don't want to ask people for help. But nowadays, it's actually more important that you do so you can have better communication with people. So in our first line, Dave goes to Liam's desk and asks for some suggestions. Hey, Liam, tomorrow is my first time visiting a client. So I was wondering if you could give me some tips. Dave tells Liam that tomorrow is his first time visiting a client. And a client is somebody that usually a person will take care of in business. Either you're selling them something or you've sold them something. So you're in charge of taking their case or taking care of them. So anytime your client needs help or your client wants something, you are the person that they would go to. So Dave is visiting a client for the first time. He's not sure what to do, or if he's not sure if Liam has some tips for him so he could make this first meeting a lot more smooth or enjoyable for both of them.
Indeed. So if you own a company and you want to make money, of course, you're going to have clients, you're going to have customers, and every once in a while you need to talk to your clients, probably every day, actually, and work with them, negotiate with them so that both of you can mutually benefit. And this is the first time for Dave. He has never met with a client before, and he wants some tips from Liam. Tips are bits of information. Those could be suggestions. And advice is the singular form of that. Can you give me some advice? But then we've got countable nouns like suggestions or tips or even pointers. Can you give me some pointers? Can you give me some tips? Can you give me some suggestions? Because I don't want to look like a fool when I meet with the client tomorrow. And Liam says, sure, no problem. I'll give you some suggestions. I'll give you some tips. First off, or the first thing you should remember, is to do your homework. And we're not talking about doing homework like students need to do at home to work through some math problems or do some reading or something like that. Homework is just extra work you do on your own, whether for school or for work. And he says, research the company, recent news about it, and relevant industry trends. So yes, indeed, we do have this client, but it would be embarrassing if you talked to the client and you didn't know anything about the client's company. So yes, research the company. Get to know some information about the client's company. Get some information about recent news about that company. Have they been in the news recently? And also you need to learn about relevant industry trends. So if something's relevant, that means it has something to do with something. It's important. You need to take it into consideration. For example, maybe your client makes auto parts or something like that. So you need to know what's happening in the industry. Is there a great demand for this kind of auto part? Or nowadays, people aren't really selling another type of auto part because cars are getting more and more computerized.
Right. We know that there was a shortage of microchips for a while. So a lot of cars, their delivery were being delayed. Okay, so that's an example of knowing the relevant industry trends. And Liam goes on to say, that'll show you're invested. So it will show your client, you will show your client that you are invested, that you understand the company and what it does and how you can help them. So here we have the word invested. And usually invested means to put money into something to make more money. But in this case, when you're being invested in something, you can invest yourself or even invest your energy and emotion into something. So in this case, when you're trying to show your client that you're invested, you're trying to show them that, hey, I got your back. I know the business. I know the company. And I've invested so much of my time to understanding everything that's going on to help your company grow.
Yes, indeed. And it will show that you not only know things about the client's company, but that you actually are interested in their company. You're genuinely interested. And of course, you want them to do well, because if they do well, you will do well. And it will be a mutually satisfying situation. And Dave says, got it. I understand. And during the meeting, what should I do during the meeting when I'm actually talking to the client? Liam says, be a good listener. Make sure you understand their needs and challenges before pitching any ideas. Indeed, you are meeting with a client, so the client is the person who wants to convey information to you. So you need to actually listen to the client. Try not to do all the talking. Let them do the talking.
Dave says that makes sense. I understand everything that Liam has just said to me makes sense to me, and I agree with his tips. And then he asks, are there any pitfalls to avoid? So are there any hidden dangers or are there any difficulties that I have to be careful of, that I have to avoid? So are there things that I shouldn't say? Are there things that I shouldn't ask? Or sometimes in a business meeting, there are words that you should avoid. So a pitfall could be something that you should be careful of, and that way you won't make the meeting so awkward or head towards a negative direction.
Yeah, there might be some traps there, so be aware of them. You may not be aware of them, so you may get tricked. I don't think the client's trying to trick you, but you may actually say the wrong thing or something like that, and you may embarrass the client. And Liam says, well, just off the top of my head, I'd say the most important thing is to stay honest about what we can deliver. That's just off the top of my head. That's what I'm thinking right now. I haven't really thought deeply about this, but yeah, just off the top of my head, the most important thing to do is to be honest. Don't be deceitful, and be honest about what we can deliver, what we can provide, and don't make any promises you can't keep. Indeed, if you make those promises because you think they sound good and later you can't keep them, the client will no longer trust you and they'll probably look for somebody else in the future.
Right, and Dave says, understood. Thanks for the advice. He gets everything that Liam has told him and he thanks him for the advice. Usually when somebody gives us suggestions and tips, we should always be grateful and thank them. And Liam says, no problem. Good luck with the meeting. So he hopes that Dave can do well. All right, that's the end of part 1, asking for advice. Let's listen to part 2.
2. Requesting data. Liam makes a call to Tina, who works in another department.
Hi, Tina. It's Liam. I'm putting together a presentation for next week, and I need some specific data. Would your department be able to provide it?
We'll certainly do our best. What kind of data are you looking for?
Let's see. I need the annual sales figures for the past 3 years broken down by region. It's crucial for the analysis I'm presenting.
I think we can manage that. Let me check with my team and I'll get back to you before lunch.
That would be fantastic, Tina. Thanks a lot.
No worries. I'll call you back soon.
第二部分我们看到名词 analysis， 它的意思是分析。例如 The business report includes an analysis of customer habits. 这份商业报告包含了顾客习惯的分析。或者 Our next step will be to do an analysis of the data from the experiment. 我们的下一步将是分析这项实验的资料。另外将这个字的字尾 SIS 改成 ST 就会变成名词 analyst， 有分析者或是分析师的意思。例如 Amy is interested in politics, so she wants to be a political analyst. Amy 对政治很有兴趣，所以她想成为一名政治分析师。再看一个例子 According to the blood analyst, the man was killed by absorbing toxic substances. 根据血液分析师，该男子是因吸收有毒物质而死亡。下一个来介绍形容词 fantastic， 意思是极好的、了不起的，也可以是幻想的意思。我们可以说 The car offers fantastic fuel efficiency and performance, but at a premium price. 这辆车的用油效率和性能表现优越的令人难以置信，但价格却很实惠。又或者说 Ancient writers imagined numerous fantastic creatures living in unexplored parts of the world. 古代作家想象出许多奇妙的生物生活在世界未知的角落。
Okay, let's talk about part 2 right now. We are requesting data. Some people say data, but data, I believe, is more common. That's just information about things. It could be statistics or other relevant information. And this time, Liam makes a call to Tina, who works in another department. So he's asking for help from Tina. Liam begins the conversation on the phone. He says, "Hi, Tina. It's Liam." He says, "I'm putting together a presentation for next week, and I need some specific data. Would your department be able to provide it?" So here he's coming straight to the point. He's telling Tina exactly why he has called her. He says he's putting together a presentation for next week. So to put something together just means to organize something, to get all the relevant information and to figure out what you're going to do. And in this particular case, he's organizing a presentation for next week. If you work in a company, sometimes you'll be asked to make a presentation. You will stand up in front of a bunch of other people and you'll give a speech to them, and you'll probably have a slideshow with PowerPoint or something like that, and you'll give them some information so that they can learn something.
Right. In order for him to make this presentation, he needs certain information from Tina. And this information belongs to her department. So a department is another area of the company that does something else, that does something different. So each department of a company, they each do their own things. For example, you have your finance department, your marketing department, your business development. So each department, they will do their area of expertise to help run the company and make the company better and make more money. But it's important that all departments work together. So Liam doesn't work in the same department as Tina, but he needs her help with some specific data. So he needs details that Tina can provide for him in order for him to make the presentation.
Okay, and this company all works together. All the people there work together in perfect harmony. So Tina says, "We'll certainly do our best. I'll do what I can to help you." What kind of data or data are you looking for? What kind of specific information do you need? And Liam says, let's see. I need the annual sales figures for the past 3 years broken down by region. So this would be some pretty specific information, some specific data. He needs the annual sales figures for the past 3 years. If something's annual, it happens once a year. If you work for a particular company, you may have an annual meeting where everybody in the company goes to some place. Maybe they stay overnight and they have a meeting there and they try to discuss matters of importance to the company. And in this particular case, he needs sales figures from each year for the past 3 years. How much of certain items did they sell? And he needs it broken down by region, like how many products did we sell to the Americas, to Africa, to Asia, to Europe, etc.
It's crucial for the analysis I'm presenting. So it's crucial. It's very important for this presentation that I'm going to do for the client and for the analysis. So the analysis is basically a study or investigation of something that we can have more information about a topic. So, for example, in business, he would have analyzed the data or of the annual sales figures and the regions, and then he would present this analysis. He will present his findings to his client.
Right, so he needs this information. It's crucial. It's very important because he has this analysis. He's going to break down this particular concept and give them details. That's what an analysis is. They kind of break something down and look at it in smaller parts. And Tina says, I think we can manage that. That should be no problem. Let me check with my team and I'll get back to you before lunch. So yes, she thinks that she can provide that information for him. And, of course, she needs to consult with her team. She needs to check with her team, other members of her department, and then she will get back to him before lunch. She will ask them some questions, and then she'll call him back and tell him whether or not they can provide the information that he has requested.
And this really shows that Tina is quite eager to help Liam because she wants to get back to him before lunch. So she's trying to find out this information so she can get all this stuff to him as soon as possible. And Liam says, that would be fantastic, Tina. Thanks a lot. So it's fantastic because he is going to be able to get this crucial information very soon so that he can get working on his presentation. And when something is fantastic, it's to be really good or really attractive, and it can be really imaginative. So it could be something so great that it almost gives off a kind of magical feeling to it. So when you're using this fantastic to describe something, it's just also showing that you're really grateful that somebody is helping you this quickly. So he says, that would be fantastic, Tina. Thanks a lot.
It happens a lot in conversations where people tell you things and then you need to say, oh, that's really great. That's really wonderful. So it's very important that you don't use the same word over and over. So we've got different kinds of words that you can use to express that something is really outstanding. You could say, oh, it's outstanding, really excellent, wonderful, great, stupendous, super, etc. There are different words you can use. The trick is to not use the same one over and over again. And Liam is grateful to Tina. That would be fantastic for providing that information. Thanks a lot. And Tina says, no worries. There's nothing to worry about. I'll call you back soon before lunch. And hopefully Liam will be able to get those sales figures so that his presentation will go really well. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Let's listen now to Hanny and her presentation for today.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。在第一部分的对话里， Dave 刚开始这份工作，那他向 Liam 寻求一些建议。 Liam 建议他要做功课，展现出自己的投入，那也要做个出色的聆听者。这时候 Dave 回答说 That makes sense， 意思是有道理。那这边我们来补充一下 make sense 的用法。首先第一个，我们用事物当主词的时候，它是表达合理、讲得通，或者是指说可能某个行为模式它是有道理、合乎情理的。 sense 的前方可以加入 a lot of 或是 much 等等来修饰很合理，或者是可以加入 no 来指说不合理。举例来说， His excuse makes no sense at all。 他的借口一点都不合理，听起来完全说不通啊。好，那么第二个用法是我们用人当主词的时候，可以用 make sense of something 去表达理解、了解，通常是指说去理解某个复杂或是不寻常的人事物。例如I just can't make sense of these instructions. 我就是看不懂这些指示说明诶。好，那么接着当 Dave 询问说还有什么需要避免的陷阱吗？ Liam 说他马上能想到的是，他认为最重要的是对这个可以履行的事情要保持诚实。那这边他用到 just off the top of my head， 它是用来表达我马上能想到的是什么什么。Off the top of one's head字面意思是在某人的头顶之外，那表示说不用动脑筋就想得出来，就类似中文说的不假思索、直接反应的那种意思。我们顺便补充几个跟 top 有关的用语。第一个是 blow one's top， 字面意思是把某人的头顶炸开了，就好像中文说的怒发冲冠、火冒三丈的意思，所以它就是指勃然大怒，非常生气。好，那第二个补充的是 come out on top， 这个片语用在比赛的情境时，是表示说经过了一番激烈的竞争之后，终于打败对手，胜出夺冠。那它就有那种像是在竞争或比赛中获胜、名列前茅的意思。如果我们是把它用在面对危机或困难的情境当中，则表示努力克服万难，最后终于成功。好，那第三个补充的是 at the top of one's game 或是 on top of one's game， 它是表达说在某人的最佳状态，处于巅峰。 game 我们知道原本它有那种游戏比赛的意思，在这边则是指领域或是行业，而这个用语就是指说在某个领域，可能是工作或比赛等等，表现达到了顶峰，呈现出最佳状态。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Relevant. We should be sure to collect any data relevant to the debate topic. Invest.
Willie planned to invest more of his time in learning to play the piano.
Presentation. Florence has prepared a detailed presentation to explain the project to the team. Annual. I decided not to join the gym when I realized how much the annual fee would be. Analysis. Our analysis shows that there's a growing market for organic vegetables. Fantastic. Patricia's apartment has a fantastic view of downtown.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Kiki.
See you next time.